All right, this is Obaid on behalf of American Income Life, and in this video, we'll be filling out our life insurance application. Okay, before we go ahead and fill in this application, let's go ahead and talk about life expectancy and mortality statistics. So overall, on a global stage, the life expectancy is about 71.3 years, and this was the average life expectancy in 2021, and the mortality was 9 million. Okay, all right. So when it comes to Canada, this chart is from Statistics Canada, Stats Canada. Okay, so highest mortality rate in Canada was amongst the elderly as well as infants. Okay, so in general, unless this person is an infant, as this person ages, okay, the mortality rate goes up. Okay, so some of the causes of death or mortality, one is malignant neoplasm. Okay, that tops the list for Canada, which is a cancerous tumor. Okay, it's also the second leading cause of death globally on a global scale, with 9.6 million casualties every year. Okay, all right. Major cardiovascular disease was another reason for death in Canada. It's also the leading cause of death on a global stage. Okay, in 2019, an estimated 17.9 million passed away, about 32% of all global deaths. Okay. Dementia is another reason for death in Canada, okay, for fatalities. And currently, more than 55 million people have dementia worldwide. Okay. Okay. Accidents was yet another reason for casualties or fatalities in Canada for mortality. Okay. Approximately 1.19 million people die each year as a result of road accidents. Okay. And they cost countries about 3% of their GDP. Okay. One more reason for casualties or fatalities was pneumonia. Okay. Kills about 800,000 or so children under the age of 5. Okay. In 2017, okay, about 15% of deaths of children under 5 years of age. Okay. So these statistics are from Stats Canada as well. Okay. As you can see, you have your malignant neoplasm with fatalities that total up to 79,726. Okay. Going up to 82,412. Okay. So it was 2018 going up to 2022. All right. Diabetes, 6,864 in 2018, went up to 7,557 in 2022. Okay, the number for dementia was 23,047. Okay, this number went up to 25,994. Major cardiovascular disease, 72,507. This number went up to 76,639. Respiratory disease, 13,070. Okay, was 12,462 as far as the number of casualties are concerned in Canada, 2022. Okay. Accidents, 15,855 in 2018, went up to 18,365. Okay, total number of casualties in Canada in 2022. Okay, COVID-19 was 15,890. Okay, this was in 2020. And if you compare this with accidents, apparently accidents kill more people than COVID-19 in 2020. Okay, so it's roughly 16,818 for accidents in 2020 compared to 15,890. However, this number did go up for COVID-19 and it was 19,716, okay, 2 years later. Right. Okay. Causes of death in Ontario, even though the numbers for known causes of death has gone down in the past few weeks, as you may notice from this table over here, the total number of deaths from unknown causes has gone up. Okay, when it comes to infants, number one cause in Canada was malformation or deformation. Okay? And on a global stage, about 240,000 newborns died worldwide within 28 days of birth. Okay, low birth weight was another reason or cause of death amongst infants. Okay, so infants or children with low birth weight, they're 20 times more likely to die than heavier infants. Complications during pregnancy was another reason for infant deaths in Canada. Okay, as you may notice from this table over here. Okay, okay, with malformation and deformation on top of the list, and the number is 418 for infant deaths. Okay, so in general, as individual ages, okay, as they grow older, the life expectancy goes down, and because of which your mortality expense for the insurance company goes up, leading to higher premiums. Okay, so this is life expectancy in Canada. All right. Okay, so basically, that was all the statistics relevant to life insurance, okay, as well as mortality. Okay, let's go ahead and fill in the application. All right. So part A of this application for life insurance is to be completed by the beneficiary. Okay. And as part of this section, you will need to type in the policy numbers for all the policies that the life insured had. Okay. So the life insured would be the person who passed away. Okay. So let's say the policy number in this case. Okay. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, should you have any other policies, such as group policies or any other individual policies with any other life insurance company, you may type in those numbers over here. Okay, your deceased name, so name of the deceased. So let's say this person is XYZ, and the date of birth. Let's say this was 10/07, 1975. All right, gender. Let's say this is male. And if the deceased or the life insured did have a union, you will type in the name of the union as well as the local chapter. Okay. If this person was a union member, so let's say this was UFCW, local chapter XYZ. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Make sure the name for the deceased matches the name on his or her photo ID, along with date of birth and address. Okay, so if the address on the driver's license, if this is 123 Insurance Drive, okay, so this is Brampton, Ontario, postal code L6R, 2K, whatever the last digit is. Okay. Furthermore, you will need to know and indicate whether this death or casualty resulted from suicide, homicide, or accident. Okay. So let's say this casualty happened as a result of accident, an auto accident, for example. Okay. We'll also need to know the date of death. Okay. So let's say this person passed away. Okay. On the 10th of October, 2025 or 6. Okay. Whatever the number might be. Okay. Place of death. Okay. Let's say this is, okay, XYZ Civic Hospital. Okay. Let's say this is Brampton, Ontario. Okay. Canada. Okay. Cause of death. So again, and this would be an auto accident. You'll need to indicate what exactly happened to the life insured as a result of that accident. So let's say this was a head injury. All right. Auto accident. Okay. Beneficiary's name. Okay. Make sure this name matches the photo ID. Okay. So let's say the name is XYZ, YZZ, and the relationship to the insured. Okay. Let's change this to XZZ, YZZ. Okay. Okay. And the relationship to the name insured. Okay. This would be life insured. So let's say this is a family member. And make sure the name and the address for the beneficiary matches his or her photo ID or driver's license. So let's say the mailing address. This is 123 Beneficiary Drive. Okay, Toronto, Ontario. And this is M7A1Y, whatever the last digit is or number. Okay, telephone number. So let's say this is 905-799-998, whatever the last number is. Okay, social security number. Okay, make sure this number matches your SIN card for the beneficiary. So let's say the social security number is 537-629-38, whatever the last digit is. Okay, email address. Make sure the email address is accessible. Make sure the beneficiary is able to access his or her email address and that there is enough space in his or her email inbox for him to receive emails. Okay, so let's say this email address is xyz@outlook.com. All right, date of birth. Okay, again, the date of birth must match his or her photo ID, beneficiary's photo ID, such as a driver's license. So let's say the date of birth. Okay, this is 14th of October, 1985. All right. So part B, okay, is to be completed by the beneficiary. Okay. All right. Now, before we move on to part A, should you not have a beneficiary for part A to complete part A, you can also get this part done via a guardian or personal representative of the life insured. Okay. All right. So let's move ahead and complete part B. All right. So part B. So give the names and addresses of all the physicians who treated the disease during the 5 years prior to death. Okay. So let's say This is one of the doctors that treated the deceased. Okay, so XYZ, YTT, first and last name. Okay, address. Okay, this would be most likely the address of the hospital. Okay, so let's say 123 Hospital Drive. This will be Brampton, Ontario. L6R2K, whatever the last digit is. Okay, so disease or condition. All right, so let's say this is heart attack, okay, or cardiovascular disease. Okay, the reason why this piece of information is important is because should the insured pass away because of an accident, okay, certain portions of the claim would be payable, such as AD&D. Okay. However, if the insured had a heart attack and if this person passes away, okay, AD&D won't be payable. Okay, so AD&D will not be applicable in that case. All right. So dates, when it comes to dates, go ahead and fill out the dates. Um, let's say this person was treated between 20th of March, 2024, okay, or 20th of March, 2024 to 22nd of March, 2024. Okay, make sure this date corresponds with the date of death. Okay, it has to be before the date of death. Okay, all right. So when did the deceased first complain or give other indication of illness? All right. So let's say this person registered a complaint okay, 24th, okay, '05, okay, 2023, so a year before. Okay, when did deceased first consult a physician for last illness? So again, this would be the same date, 20th of March. Okay, this date over here. All right, and that's about it for Part B. Okay, so moving on to Part C. Part C may be completed by a beneficiary, guardian, or a personal representative as well. Okay, so if you don't have a beneficiary to complete Part C, you may have this part completed by a guardian or a representative, such as a trustee. All right. So let's say the insured's name over here. This is, excuse me, this will be the same name as this one over here. This is your life insured's name. So basically, this part over here is to release personal or health information rather. Okay. So things like medical records, your MIB records, so on and so forth. Okay. If the insurance company does need to access any one of those records, they should be able to access those records with the help of this form over here. Okay. Um, Date of birth, again, this will be the same date of birth as listed in Part A. So let's say the date of birth for the deceased was October or July, rather, July 10th, 1975. Okay, so July 10th, 1975 will be your date of birth. Social Security number will be the same number, okay, as on your photo ID. Okay, just like your date of birth. So let's say the Social Security number 537 622 99 nine, whatever the last digit is. Your policy number. Okay, so this would be the policy number for this coverage, for this policy. Okay, so let's say this policy number is 123 456 789. Okay, the address should match the address on the photo ID of the life insured. So let's say this address is, okay, 123 Insurance Drive. Okay, make sure it matches the address in Part A. Okay, all right. So apart from that, you will also need the name of the person who signs the form, whether the beneficiary, trustee, or any other legal representative. So let's say this is YYYTXZ. Okay, authority to sign on behalf of the deceased. Okay, so let's say this person is a child or a beneficiary. Okay, all right. And the signature of the patient, beneficiary, or guardian. Okay, so this would be the signature of the beneficiary, the person who filled out this form. Okay, so that's about it for Part C. Okay. Moving on to Part D. Okay, Part D has to be completed by a physician, a qualified physician, okay, or the doctor. So for Part D, the name of the deceased should be the same as Part A. Okay, so let's say the name of the deceased in Part A. This was XYZ, YZZ. First and last name should be the same name over here. Okay, if any of this information does not match, okay, there might be a delay when it comes to the claim. All right. Okay, not to mention the underwriter might um, see this application as misrepresentation or fraud. Okay, so that's the reason why I need to make sure that all the information matches in all these forms. Okay, so manner of death. When it comes to manner of death, again, based on the autopsy, based on the accident report, okay, let's say this is for proof of death, head injury, okay, and your date of death should match Part A as well. So let's say the date of death was October 10th, and whatever the year that might be. Okay, so let's say 2025. Okay, how long have you treated this patient? Okay, so let's say all right, roughly a month or so, a little over a month. Okay. Okay. Or, okay, if this is the same doctor as in Part B, okay, this would be roughly 2 days, as you can see over here. Okay. So just 2 days. All right. So 2 days. Okay. Were you the patient's medical attendant or advisor before last illness or infirmity? Okay. Yes or no? If so, when and for what disease? Okay. So this is before last illness. In this case, we'll say not applicable. All right. When was the patient diagnosed with the disease or impairment that resulted in death? Okay, so let's say this is so the diagnosis would be the same day when this patient went to see the doctor. So let's say 20th of March, 2024. Okay. However, okay, it's asking for the disease that resulted in death. Okay. So if the life insured or the deceased did not pass away because of the heart attack, if the accident is what killed the life insured, okay, then you would need to indicate that this is not applicable. Okay, so this would be NA in this case. All right. So was the patient ever treated for drug or alcohol abuse? Okay. If yes, please list dates and locations. In this case, it's not applicable. Was the patient ever disabled? If so, when and for what reason? Okay, so not applicable because the patient was discharged within 2 days, okay, of being in the hospital. So that was on the 22nd of March, 2024. Okay, from what other disease or impairment has the patient suffered and when? Again, not applicable apart from the heart attack. Okay, all right. Okay, was the patient confined to a hospital during the past 3 years? If so, provide the name and the address of the hospital. Okay, so this person was confined to a hospital in the last 3 years. We'll need to type in the name and the address of the hospital. So let's say this is 123 Hospital Drive. Okay, and you're going to type in the name as XYZ Civic Hospital. All right. Give names and addresses of referring physicians or other practitioners who, to your knowledge, attended the patient during the 5 years or past 5 years. Okay. So names and addresses of the physicians. Okay. In this case, this is not applicable. Okay. So apart from this physician himself, nobody else attended this patient over here. Okay. So that would be not applicable. NA. And the dates, again, not applicable. Okay, the name of the physician, let's say the name of the physician is, okay, one moment here. Okay, so this would be the same name as this one over here. Okay, all right. Street address. Okay, so again, this would be the same address as this address over here. Okay, all right, physician signature. So let's say, all right, city. Okay, let's say this is, okay, state. Let's say this is Ontario. And zip. Okay, this would be L6 R2 kilo, whatever the last digit is. Okay. So this one over here, this is Hospital Drive. Okay, fax number. Should you have a fax number, you will need to type that in. So let's say 905-799-999, whatever the last digit is. Okay, and the phone number for the physician. Okay, so let's say this is, okay, 905-799-231, whatever the last digit is. All right, so that's it for this part over here, part D. Okay, now we now move on to part E. This part has to be completed by the beneficiary. Okay, only if the policy is less than 2 years old. Okay, So since this policy is over 2 years, okay, this is not applicable in our case. Okay. However, okay, this is quite straightforward. You will need to indicate the name of the patient, the address of the patient, which will be the same address as in Part A, okay, city, state, zip code. Again, same as Part A, same as the photo ID. Date of birth will be the same date of birth as in Part A. Social Security number should match. Okay. Name of the facility or the provider. Okay. All right. Purpose of requested disclosure is for insurance information to be disclosed. So this is all part of the medical records or MIB. If the insurance company does need to access any one of these, they should be able to access one of these using this form. Okay. All right. Signature of the patient and relationship to the patient. Okay. So this is basically how you fill out your life insurance claim form. On behalf of American Income Life, this is Obey. Have yourself a great day.